So start in a nice standing position. And if you place your hands on your hip bones and just kind of like find where they are, place your hands pointing down there, your ankles should be lined up basically right underneath that. So it's about 2 fists in between the feet. And then start to lift your toes off the mat, just your toes. So you can really start to ground down through the feet and feel the 4 corners, the ball point underneath your big toe, the pinky toe, and both sides of your heels. And then slowly let your toes grip down. So just so you have that extra support from the toes. So your feet are very intentionally pressing into the floor. And when doing yoga, we really want to make sure that our foundation is strong. So whatever is touching the floor in any pose, whether that's the hands and the feet or just the hands, that is your foundation. That's where you are grounding down. So it has to be placed intentionally. And start to feel a slight tuck slight tuck in the tailbone and a slight micro bend in the knees. So your inner thighs feel like they're coming in and up toward you. And what it looks like, it kind of looks like that when you buckle your legs. So then all that pressure is just stacked on the knees. So that's why like the coffee shop stance, when you're just kind of standing like that, it really starts to hurt your knees over time. So just creating that micro bend, it starts to activate all the muscles that surround the knee joint itself. So protecting it and helping with the pain there. And then start to feel your stomach and check in with where your navel is in relationship to your sternum. And in relationship to your throat center, in relation to your nose, and through the crown of your head. And all of that should be in line with your pubic bone and the space right in between the feet. And start to feel broadness across your collarbones. Allow your shoulders to rest down away from the ears so you feel the sides of your neck getting a little bit longer. And your fingertips are intentionally reaching down toward the ground, and your palms can be facing out if that feels okay for you. And if your eyes aren't already closed, you can gently close the eyes as you feel into this mountain pose. And relax the muscles across your forehead. Relax your jaw. And feel just a really slight tuck in your chin so that your heart is proud and lifting up toward your chin, and your chin is slightly coming toward the heart, which is just elongating the back of your neck. So you can just feel that connection between your heart and your brain getting a little bit clearer through that straight back of the neck. And as you inhale, feel the crown of your head, the highest point in your body, lifting up just a tiny bit taller, imagining that there's a string coming out of you from the crown of your head. And then as you exhale, let the soles of your feet ground down even deeper. So you actively feel the ends of your body reaching in opposite directions. The crown of your head is reaching higher as you inhale, the soles of the feet reaching deeper as you exhale. Just getting a little bit longer. And we'll start to focus more on the breath. So in yoga, we practice something called Ujjayi Breath. And it's kind of like if you were to fog up a mirror, so that sensation where you get hot air out of your mouth, but your mouth is closed while you're doing it. So it's an audible breath in and out through the nose with the mouth closed. And what this breath does is really contains the energy within our body. So during the physical postures we'll be taking today, we need a lot of energy, or we need as much energy as we can get. So this breath will really help to ground us in this moment, as well as power us through the poses. And yoga itself means union. It's the union of mind, body, and spirit. So this whole practice is just about becoming present and doing that through the physical postures that we take and with our awareness on the breath. And it's very natural that your mind will wander. You might wander to things you have planned for the weekend or things in the future. You might wander thinking about things of the past. But each time that you catch yourself in your mind wandering, that automatically brings you back into the present. So letting this sort of be like a dance with your mind and just doing your best to show up for you. So we're going to start by doing some tapping. So what you can do is take your fingertips and bring them to your collarbones and just start tapping across the collarbones. And you can keep the eyes closed for this. The eyes open or closed is really up to you throughout the practice. Sometimes for balance, we need to have them open, or sometimes it feels just better to have them open. But it can be a lot nicer to tune in and just to the sensations and how the poses feel in you when you have the eyes closed. So just tapping across your chest with the fingertips, and then extend your left arm down with the palm facing up, and just start to tap with the fuller hand going down the arm on like the inside of the arm, getting to the hand, giving yourself a high five, and then turn your palm to face down, and we'll go up on the other side of the arm. Then we'll go across the collarbones, and then make a fist here and just start tapping harder on the left side of the chest. And then we'll come across and do that on the other side. So you can extend your right arm down, the palm facing up, and just start to tap down the arm. And then turn the hand down and go the other way, going up. And you can even start to go up the neck as well and do that pounding again with the fists. And then you'll take both hands and start to come to your neck. And just start to tap the back of your neck and the shoulders and here. And then we can even go up the face. But when you get to the face, use your fingertips and go very softly. And what this tapping does is it really just brings all of the oxygen and all the blood in your body to the surface of the skin. So just feeling that as you do it, you can even do it across your head and your hairline. This can help your hair to grow too, just by stimulating the follicles. And then we'll just gradually start to move down. So you can really move at your own pace. We're just going to start tapping everywhere on the torso, the back, the belly. And this is a very intuitive process. So you can just kind of trust that your hands are going to tap where they want to tap. And then when you get to the legs, we can go down on the front and on the feet as well. And then we'll go up the backs of the legs. And then we'll do it one more time going down on the outsides of the legs. And then when we go up, we'll go on the insides of the legs. Awesome. So whenever you are complete with your tapping, just start to shake it out. Maybe bend the legs, just wiggle the arms, and just kind of imagine all of that energy that you just brought to the surface is just like flicking it away from your hands, like if you were drying off your hands without paper towels. Just flicking it away, getting it out of you, not worrying about what it looks like, just listening to the body and how it wants to move. And then you can find a little stillness. And we'll start to do some more stretches now that we've warmed up a little bit. So you can start by bringing your chin down toward your chest, but check in with the rest of your posture as you do this, because there's a tendency that like everything will start to curl. And if your upper back is curled with your neck, then the stretch is just less concentrated on the neck itself. So the straighter you keep the spine, then the more it'll be concentrated on the back of the neck. So there's some options here for the neck rolls. You can focus on your chin. You can bring your chin over to your left shoulder, bring your chin up and around like the sun rising and setting, chin to the right shoulder, and then back down around. And you can keep moving like this, slowly moving with your breath, maybe exhaling the chin down and across and inhaling it up and over. And you can do it about 5 or 6 times in each direction, just switching sides. And then the other way you could think about this is by thinking about the ears instead. Like if the chin doesn't really feel good, you can think about bringing your left ear to your left shoulder, then the right ear to the right shoulder, and then back down and around, focusing more there, and then switching directions, of course. But totally up to you. You can try out both, see what feels best. Or if there's something else that I can't think of that feels better to roll out your neck, then of course, do that. And then when you're feeling complete on both sides with your neck, what we will do is bring your hands to your shoulders and kind of feel yourself pulling your shoulders like down and away from each other. So you're feeling just an exaggeration of space across the heart center. And then start to draw some big circles with your elbows. You can go forward a few times, just like we did with the neck. You can go in both directions a few times. But as your hands are on the shoulders, you can really start to feel if there's any like creaking or popping, like there is a ton in my shoulders. So just moving slowly, again, staying with your breath. You can link your breath in whatever way it feels best, maybe inhaling them up and exhaling them down or vice versa. And then again, just switching directions. But really, even if you close the eyes, tuning into what's actually happening in your body right now. The ball and socket joint in the shoulders, and just exploring your range of motion in the shoulders, because that's really what this yoga practice is all about, is just being curious about the different ways your body can move and how that makes you feel. And once you are feeling complete with the shoulder warm up, you can release the arms and maybe shake them out again. And then we'll start to get into the side body. So as you inhale, you can reach both arms out and up, like you're just gathering up a ton of air. And then interlace your hands at the top and extend your pointer fingers. And you're kind of like feeling like you're squeezing your biceps into your ears. And it's a little hard because I have the headphones on, but you might notice a tendency to arch the back a lot here, and then that just dumps all the weight in your lower back. So see if you can really activate your lower core and reach up more intentionally through the fingertips and reach down through your tailbone. So you're not sacrificing any stretch in the side bodies. Great, so we'll inhale, reach the fingers up a little bit higher, see how long you can get. And then as you exhale, just start to bend over to your right, coming into this half moon shape. And if you just take a peek down at your ankles, just see that your alignment, check in. Is your ankles aligned with your knees? Make sure you're not buckling your knees, so you have that micro bend. That's aligned with your hip, aligned with your rib cage, your armpit, and through. So you're really focusing on feeling the space between the outside edge of your left foot, through the outside of the leg, through the side of the torso, the rib cage, the armpit, and the arm. As you inhale, feel yourself getting longer. And as you exhale, maybe reach over a little bit more. And next inhale, come back to center, reach up, and then just switch the interlacing of your hands. So it's going to feel a little funny, the opposite thumb on top. And then we'll do that on the other side. So the arms might be getting tired, but just breathing through it. Of course, you can take a break if you need to at any point. But as you inhale, reach up, get higher, get taller, and as you exhale, bend over to the left. So again, focusing on the length you're creating from the outside edge of your right foot all the way through the fingertips, and even feeling the space between the bottom of your rib cage and your hip bones getting longer, so that you're giving all these organs a lot more space to just be. Just a few more breaths, remembering that Ujjayi breath is helpful here. And one more exhale. Great. And then on the next inhale, you can go ahead, rise back up to center, and then release the hands and really slowly, like you're kind of pushing or swimming through water, just pushing the water down. Lower the arms down with intent. Awesome. So now as you inhale, we're gonna sweep the arms out to the side and up, getting nice and tall. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down through heart center slowly and release them down by your side. We're gonna do that 5 times. Inhale, reach the arms out and up, gather up all the air. And as you exhale, hands come through heart center, down through the nose, through the heart, and release. So 3 more. You can move with your own breath. And with the eyes closed, just thinking about the shape that your body is making and the movement that your body's making. Let's do 1 more. Inhale, gathering up everything you'd like to bring in. And exhale to release anything you no longer need. And now we're just going to continue that movement even fuller. So if you're not stepping, or if you're not at the top of your mat already, you can go ahead and step there. And actually, yeah, let's roll out the ankles a little bit. You can turn onto the toes and just kind of take some circles with your knee and go in both directions. And then the other side. Great. So now we will move through half sun salutations. So it's very similar to what we just did. As you inhale, sweep the arms out and up, gather up all the air, get super long. And this time as you exhale, you're just gonna swan dive with the arms. So the arms are gonna come down and you're gonna lead with your heart and hinge at your hips. So feel yourself lifting up and out of your hips. And you're just gonna keep leading with the heart, keep your lower belly tight. And you're gonna come down with a flat back. And then once your back starts to curl, you're gonna bend the knees and just fully release. And release the head. You're gonna bend the knees really generously here because our forward fold is not about stretching out the hamstrings. It's about stretching out the spine and getting the spine as long as possible. So when the knees are generously bent, then that allows the focus to be on the spine itself. Just find a little bit of stillness. Maybe you just fully release the hands to the ground. Maybe you grab opposite elbows and just ragdoll. And just notice where the weight is located on your feet. Because sometimes we're really heavy on our heels or really heavy on the insides or outside of the feet. So just starting to be curious about that. And then reminding yourself of what we did to start the practice, like lifting the toes and just feeling the toes be that grip down and be that extra support. And can feel the weight evenly distributed on the inside and outside of the feet. But it's going to be slightly more on the balls of your feet. So it's almost like you could slide a piece of paper underneath your heels. And this will really just encourage the forward part of our fold, of our forward fold. And even with the knees bent, just feel your sit bones lifting a tiny bit higher. So you're feeling the full length from your tailbones all the way through the crown of your head. Taking big exhales. And just allowing the vertebrae to separate a little bit more for 1 more breath. Awesome. And then super slowly, we're going to roll up to stand. So from bottom to top, first straightening the legs, and then straightening up through the lower back, middle, upper back. Roll the shoulders back, palms face out. Once again, in your mountain pose. And just pause for a moment whenever you arrive. Allow all the blood to settle. Allow your vision to return if it's left. And we're going to move through these sun cells with our breath now, 1 breath per movement. So as you inhale, reach the arms out and up, gather up the air. And exhale, swan dive, lead with the heart all the way down, forward fold. Now we're going to add in our halfway lift. So as you inhale, you can straighten out your spine and just feel the crown of your head reach directly forward, and your heart also is kind of coming forward. So there's a flatness across your shoulder blades and collarbones. Your hands can be on your shins here. They can be just kind of hanging out wherever they feel best. But the goal here is really to have your spine straight. So you want to feel a straight line from your tailbone all the way through the crown of your head, parallel to the ceiling and the floor, basically. And feeling yourself lifting out of your hips. So really exaggerating the hinge here. And then exhale, release, forward fold. Inhale to rise up to stand, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now we'll keep moving through those a few more times. As you inhale, reach up, get long. Exhale, hinge, dive forward. Inhale, lengthen the crown of your head forward, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Do that twice more. Inhale, the arms up. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, get the spine super long, just so that we can fold even deeper. As you exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, reach up, get long. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand, reach the arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And just pause for a moment with your hands at heart center. Feel your heart beating into your thumbs and feel the palms of both of your hands pulsing into each other. And just reminding yourself of the power that you always have inside of you. All this love that's in your heart, connected to your hands, connected to your entire body. Maybe setting an intention for your practice today. Maybe that is to just simply show up and be here. So on your next inhale, you can reach the arms up to the sky. And exhale, let it all go, forward fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. And this time we will plant the hands down so that they're right underneath your shoulders. And your wrist creases should be parallel to the front edge of your mat. And again, you can bend the knees generously to get here. And just spread your fingers super, super wide so that you feel the space in between the fingers starting to stretch. And then 1 foot at a time, you can step back to a plank position. So your shoulders are staying over the wrists, your heels are reaching back and the crown of your head's reaching forward, but so are your collarbones and your heart is reaching forward. So you really want to just feel completely straight from the heels through the crown of the head. At any point, you can bring your knees down too. That still will stretch or strengthen your core. It's just a little bit easier. And we're just gonna hold for 3 more breaths. Just feel the strength, feel the power of this pose. Feel the shaking. And then slowly start to bring your knees down to the ground and bring them underneath the hips so you can walk them forward a little bit more. And we'll be in our tabletop position. So your shoulders are over wrists, your hips are over knees. And when you look back between the thighs, your feet should be hidden behind the thighs so that they stay in line with the knees. And if this is hard on your knees, you can place a blanket or some extra cushion under there. That can be really nice. And the same thing as what we just did, really exaggerating the space between your fingers. Remembering what I said at the beginning of practice, how your foundation is so important. So now your hands are part of that foundation. So you want to intentionally be pressing into the floor. And you can press down through the base of your thumb, the base of your pointer, and the base of your pinky, as well as the fingertips. So you kind of have this like suction-like grip to the floor. And the palms of your hands are kind of slightly lifted. And that can feel really difficult to feel. It can kind of take some time, so no worries. And you can also start to root down in the tops of your feet and notice how that activates your core. And you can also play around with tucking the toes under in your tabletop. For some people's bodies, that feels better. For me, it's better with the toes untucked. And then just feel that straight line through the spine, just like we did in halfway lift, from your tailbone through the back of your neck and the crown of the head. So someone could place a meal on your back, as you are a tabletop. Awesome. So now we're going to move through our cat-cows. So you can inhale to lift your sit bones toward the ceiling, lift your heart forward and like kind of through the upper arms, lift your chin away from the sternum into your cow pose. And then as you exhale, you can tuck your chin down toward the chest, lift the back of your heart, tuck your tailbone under and down to your cat pose. So you can close the eyes and continue to move through these cat-cows at your own pace, with your own breath, and just kind of noticing noticing the shape that your spine is in. Noticing the shape that your spine is making as it changes. And with the eyes closed, maybe able to tune into this a little bit more. And we'll start to move through the 6 ways that our spine can move. So this is 2 ways. We can arch it, we can curl the spine, and then come back to center where your spine is straight in tabletop position. And then just look back toward your right hip and bring your right hip toward your shoulder. So you're feeling more length in the left side body. And then switch sides, exhale to the other side. So you can call this wagging your tail. And these are the another 2 ways that your spine moves, is these side bends. And then lastly, our spine can twist and rotate. So you can come back to center and then just bend your left elbow and look over your right shoulder. Maybe your left elbow comes to the floor, maybe it just hovers, but you're feeling that nice rotation in your upper spine. It feels so good. Then come back to center as you inhale and exhale, other side, bend the right elbow, look over left shoulder, and just keep moving through that with your breath. Let's do one more time on either side. And as always, you can like linger in poses if it feels really good. And like if I'm moving on sooner than you want to, then please just stay, go at your own pace. Stay where it feels good for as long as it feels good. Cool, okay. That was more than one more time. You can come back to center in your tabletop and let's just do some free movement stuff. So we know like the 6 ways that the spine moves. So now close the eyes and really just see which ways your spine wants to move. Maybe you want to keep moving through the cat-cows. Maybe you want to have more fluid movement where it's kind of like a dance with the spine, like rotating the shoulders. You can even take like circles around your knees, like moving your hips in circles around the knees can feel really nice. Oh, there's another one I learned recently. It feels good. If you bring your knees together and then dip your hips off to the right and then to the left, you get like a nice little stretch on the outside of the thigh. Actually, I don't even think they need to be together to get that. Yeah, it feels good. So just moving how you want to move, maybe coming back to child's pose, coming forward for about 5 more breaths. Awesome. So we'll give the wrists a little break before we move on. So you can turn onto the backs of your hands with your fingers pointing toward your knees and your palms facing up toward your face. If you can't do that, or if that feels like crazy bad for whatever reason, you can try turning your fingers to face each other. So it's more like that. The palms are still facing you. But you're just giving the wrists a counter stretch. And from here, you can start to maybe sit the hips back a little bit. But if the wrist starts to lift off the mat, just come back. So you really want to keep the wrist grounded and just feel that stretch across the forearms, relaxing the shoulders as you do so. Great, and then maybe shake them out and you can come back onto your hands the regular way and we'll come into puppy pose. So you can walk your hands forward and you're gonna leave your hips right over the knees. So you can see already as they start to come forward, leave the hips over the knees, reach the hands forward and then just start to melt your heart down to the mat. And you can bring your forehead or your chin to the mat, or if you have a block, if the ground feels too far away, you can place a block underneath the head. But just feeling that your forearms are parallel to each other, still rooting down intentionally through your hands and forearms. So you're not dumping too much weight into the shoulders. This is more of an active stretch. So as you inhale, feel the energy reaching up through the space in between your sit bones. Then as you exhale, let the front of your heart become heavier. As you inhale, lifting up energetically through the seat. And as you exhale, feeling the backs of the shoulder blades coming slightly together and down the back. One more breath here. And then from here, just allow your hips to become heavy and just let yourself be dragged back into a child's pose. Maybe you make a pillow with the hands, maybe you keep them reaching forward, but just release wherever you are. Your toes can be together and your knees can be together, or your knees can be as wide as your mat if you want to get deeper into the hips. And just fully surrender here for about 5 breaths. Relax all the muscles in your face. Relax the jaw, the lips, the forehead. Relax the shoulders. Relax the hips. Even relax your feet and your toes. Great. And just start to come out of this so you can reach the arms forward if they're not there already. And bring the knees back in if they went wider. And just start to activate this child's pose. So rooting down into the hands so much that the arms start to lift. And just feeling that length. You can even come onto tented fingertips, or just your fingertips on the ground and you walk them forward one by one. Just feel that really nice stretch up the spine. Great. And then rooting down back into the hands and feel like you could drag the floor toward your knees and letting that energy bring you back up to table. Tuck the toes under this time and lift the hips back and up to your downward facing dog. So down dog, you just want to check in with the hands and make sure that they're about the same as tabletop. So the wrist creases are parallel to the front edge of the mat. The fingers are spread wide, rooting down intentionally. And then you're feeling the biceps kind of roll in and up toward each other. So it's almost like your armpits could face each other. It's like this wrapping of your triceps. And then same thing as in puppy pose, letting the energy reach up through the space in between your sit bones and letting the knees be bent quite generously, especially to start and maybe even just to stay. Again, the hamstrings usually come as a secondary stretch. So we're usually going to be focusing on the spine and lengthening the spine. So feel the space between your fingertips and your sit bones and feel that space getting longer. Relaxing the face, relaxing the jaw, the forehead. Maybe slowly straightening each leg one at a time. Maybe taking turns looking under each armpit. And maybe finding a little stillness at some point with the heels reaching toward the mat. And if you want to check in with the distance, if you're a little confused on the distance between your hands and your feet, you can roll forward into a plank position so that your shoulders are over the wrists and your feet are back far. And then lift your sit bones back and up from here. And that is the furthest that it should be. It should not be further than that, but you can always step up closer. And sometimes a shorter down dog feels a lot better, at least in my body. So just find that right distance for you. 2 more breaths, letting it all go. Maybe letting out a sigh. Great. And then bend the knees. Now look up toward the top of your mat, and you're just start to walk your feet up one step at a time. Slowly making your way into a halfway lift. So lengthen that spine forward when you arrive. And exhale, forward fold. Let it all go, let it dangle. You can allow your head to shake yes and no. And then as you're ready, as you inhale, you can rise all the way up to stand, reach the arms out and up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Awesome. You can just let everything settle. Again, check back in with your heartbeat. You can turn your gaze to look at the space between the eyebrows with the eyes closed. Maybe feeling a pulsing sensation at the center of the forehead. Noticing anything you see, anything you feel. Great. So we'll go through just a few standing postures before we finish up. So you can stay in this mountain pose and just release the hands down by your side. And then you'll step your right foot back so it stays in line with where it was in the front. Like you're not coming back and across, you're just coming straight back. And your back toes, so your right toes, are facing that front right corner of your mat. And this is warrior one. And the soles of both feet are firm on the mat. So sometimes the back heel can be kind of lifted, or you kind of feel like you're balancing. So as short and as wide as your stance needs to be, just make sure that you are steady and that your hips are staying square to the front edge of your mat. So if there were headlights on your hips, they would be facing right forward. And then your front leg, the knee stays bent right over the ankle. And you can, again, I think that's a really good tool to check in that your feet are active just by lifting the toes. So you can try that again and then let the toes grip down. And you really want to make sure this back leg is super straight and your tailbone feels like it's tucking down, and that will increase the stretch you feel in the right hip flexor. And you can continue to adjust your stance as you see fit. If there feels like you can get a little longer, just finding your right alignment. And then your hands can be on your hips. They can be at heart center. They can be reaching straight up toward the ceiling alongside the ears. But wherever you are, keep that tailbone tucking down so you're keeping length in your lower back, and keep lifting up and out of your hips. So feel the space between your rib cage and your hips getting a little longer. This is your warrior one pose. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, even if they're lifted. Relax the jaw. Feel your inner thighs scissoring. So it kind of feels like they're being magnetically drawn toward each other, but at the same time, your feet are kind of dragging away from each other. So you're really feeling, it's a very active pose. Or it can be as active as you make it, basically. Awesome. So now from here, you can bring your hands to your hips if they're not there, and then reach into the ground with your front foot and let that action straighten out your legs slowly. And just like with our forward folds, we're going to lead with the heart and just start to hinge at your hips. You can even place your hands there and feel yourself lift up and out of your hips and then forward. And we'll come into our pyramid pose. So you can stay here if you want a little bit of extra core work. You can just keep your lower belly tight here, keep the crown of your head reaching forward in this tabletop spine and feeling a nice stretch down the left hamstring. Or if you want to focus more on the hamstring, you can just bring your hands to frame your front foot and totally release the head and the torso. And it's okay to have a micro bend in the front leg. You're still stretching the hamstring even with a micro bend. And feel free to adjust your stance if you need to. So stepping your back foot in slightly can be nice. So wherever you are, just feel your left hip crease pulling back so that you're exaggerating the space between your left heel, the back of the leg, and the left hip. Take big exhales, let it go. Breathe into where you're feeling this the most, so probably the left hamstring. One more big exhale. Great. And then you'll just rebend the front leg so that the knee comes over the ankle. Bring your hands back to your hips and use your core to bring yourself all the way back up. Warrior one. Inhale, the arms reach up, and exhale, step forward, hands to heart center. Great, so we'll do that on the other side. So you can release the hands and step your left foot back, warrior one on the other side. And just checking in with your stance on this side, honoring where you are on your different sides, because we all have a tendency to like go exactly where we left off on the other side, but the sides of our bodies are going to be different. So just check in with what your alignment needs to be on this side. How wide do your feet need to be for your hips to be squared to the front? How short does it need to be so that both feet are grounded? And you're still feeling the scissoring action of the hips. So you're feeling your left hip coming forward, right hip coming back, just so that they're even. And again, you can try lifting the toes if that works for you, and then grounding them down. And just feeling this front knee right over the front ankle, feeling the inner thighs drawing in and up toward each other. So you're kind of gathering all that energy. And then tailbones tucking down, which will increase the stretch in the left hip flexor. And just feeling the full length of your spine with your arms wherever they were on the other side. Stay with your breath here. Continually remind your face to be soft. We all have a tendency to really tighten the jaw and the brows and forehead. So just whenever you catch yourself doing that, allow it to relax. Thinking about all the little components of this pose. And that is why yoga, or these asanas, the physical postures of yoga, have the power to keep us so present, is because there's so much you can be focusing on that you don't have time to think about anything else. So you can slowly start to bring your hands to your hips and reach into the ground with your front foot, straightening out that leg. And feel yourself automatically, as you inhale, lift out of your hips. Lift your heart forward, and then start to hinge at the hips, coming into pyramid pose on the other side. So you can do exactly what you did on the other side. If you stayed with this more core work version of the pose, you can stay here, or at any point you can release if you did that. You can adjust your back foot any directions if you need, but just really focusing on your right hamstring. Keep feeling your right hip crease, right where you start to fold. Feel that push back, maybe even physically pushing it back just to kind of encourage it. And then feel the space between your right heel through the back of the leg and the hip. And if you are folding, just releasing fully, doing whatever version of the pose you're doing fully. So fully softening the neck, the shoulders, the head, the face. A few more breaths. And just bringing all your attention to wherever it is the loudest. For one more big exhale. And then slowly start to rebend your front leg and bring your hands back to your hips and use your core to rise back up to warrior one. Inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, step forward, hands to heart center, mountain pose. Awesome. So, highlight, we'll do one more standing pose and then we'll make our way to the seat. So you can start to step your right foot back so that you're parallel to the long edge of your mat, and your feet are parallel to each other. You can bring your hands to your hips, and as you inhale, lift your heart toward the ceiling. As you exhale, once again, lift out of the hips and hinge forward, and start to slowly come down to a wide leg forward fold. The same pose we've been doing throughout this whole practice, but just with the feet wider. And you can just check in with the alignment between your feet, your ankles and the balls of your feet. And again, you can micro bend in the knees. You can bend the knees very generously if you'd like. And then just allow the whole torso and upper body to dangle. And continue to lift the energy up through the space between your sit bones so that you're feeling the spine getting longer. An option to add a little bit of movement here. So if you want to grab opposite elbows and then just bend into your left leg and straighten your right, and then switch, bend the right leg, straighten the left. And the more fluid you do this, you'll find that your body kind of starts to move, or your elbows start to move in like a figure 8 motion. And it feels really good for me. So if you like this, you can do this little dance. You can do it fast or slow, or do anything else that feels better. Maybe finding stillness is what you need. Awesome. And then you can come back to center gradually. You can bring your hands to your legs and just really slowly start to walk your hands up your legs and slowly start to rise. Let your head be last to come up. And then when you arrive, just place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Let the eyes be closed and breathe. Awesome. So you can turn your toes to face the corners of your mat and your heels will come in. And you can set them in so that they're just a little bit wider than your hips. The heels are a little bit wider than your hips. And we're going to come into our yogi squat or Malasana squat. So if you want to place something right in between your heels, you can do that, something to sit on, or you can just watch and see where we go. So your hands can come to heart center. And then as you exhale, hinge at the hips, bend at the knees, and bring your elbows inside of your knees. And keep your hands pressing together and at heart center. And then as you inhale, you can lift the crown of your head and your heart up as you let the hips sink down to the floor. Or if there's a better way, to get into that, that's easier for you, you can do that. But what you really want to focus on is this tension that you're creating. So you really want to keep your elbows in line with your wrists, because sometimes we're like this and we're just kind of holding ourselves up, but you're using your hands and your arm strength to actually hold you into this pose easier. So when your wrists come even with the elbows, it'll help to open up the hips, pressing against the inner thighs. And you want to press the elbows into the inner thighs, but at the same time, you want to press the inner thighs into the elbows. So you're doing both. You're not like completely opening up the hips. You're finding that tension, that balance of pressure. One more breath. Feel your heart lift, feel your heart be proud. And then we'll really slowly start to just reach your fingertips forward and slowly lower your feet to the ground. And you can reach the legs up when you arrive. I'm going to face the long way on the mat. And we'll just do one quick little core work before we start to really unwind and relax. So you can bring your hands to the backs of your thighs and just start to lean back slightly and lift your heart up toward the corner of the room, like right where the wall meets the ceiling. And kind of bring your gaze up there too. And then you can start to just lift one foot off the mat and lift the other foot off the mat. Maybe just switch one at a time. And you can stay here. This can be your boat pose, maybe bringing your shins parallel to the floor. Or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can release the arms from the legs and reach them forward. If you want even more of a challenge, you can straighten the legs. And the biggest challenge is bringing the arms alongside the ears. That's really difficult, so I'm not going to do that today. So wherever you are, just keep feeling your thighs and your heart lifting toward each other. Feel your lower belly, really fire up the core. Know that this is really good for you and detoxifying your organs and squeezing all the toxins out of you for a few more breaths. stay with the breath. Relax the jaw, relax the forehead, relax the shoulders. One more. Perfect. And then slowly lower the feet to the ground. Maybe just give yourself a hug. Let it go, let your stomach relax. And we'll do one seated posture before we come onto our backs. So can open up a little bit and just bring the soles of your feet to find each other and let the knees drop off to the side. So we're in our butterfly pose. And if you don't naturally hinge at your hips, like if you sit on the floor and you're kind of like leaning back, then you want to elevate the hips. So you can have a pillow or something from your couch and just sit on there so that when you're sitting, you can easily just lean forward rather than back. And your feet can be close to you if you want to focus more on the inner thighs, or they can be further away from you if you want to focus on both the outer and the inner thighs. It's kind of up to you, whatever feels best, maybe some distance in between. You can open the soles of the feet like a book if your feet do that naturally, or press them into each other. And then as you inhale, you can just feel your spine getting a little longer. And as you exhale, hinge at your hips a little bit deeper. So there's two options with this type of stretch. You can stay stretching a little bit more actively by keeping the spine straight and long and just inhaling to straighten and exhale to hinge and just slowly bring yourself down. Or you can completely surrender and you can just completely curl the spine, relax the head, relax the face. This is a more restorative version of the stretch where you don't try to force yourself deeper into the pose. You just allow yourself to go deeper as your body is ready. It's like a flower blooming, just slowly opening up, slowly unfolding into the pose. And just notice where in your body you're feeling this the most. It might be in your spine. It might be in your inner thighs. It might be in your neck. It might be somewhere totally different. If there's any places of pain in your body, like if you're feeling pain in the knees for any reason, then you can come out of this and just straighten the legs and fold, because we just don't want pain to happen. Or you can always place something underneath the knees and support them a little bit. But just trying to learn the difference between pain and discomfort. Discomfort is good. We need discomfort to grow. And this proves very true in yoga. Just finding those little moments of stillness and little moments of comfort within the discomfort. So allowing your face to fully relax. So it almost feels like the muscles in your face are hanging off of the bones. And take 3 more breaths. And then really slowly, as slowly as we unfolded into this, let's come out, slowly walking the hands up toward the seat. And grab the outsides of the knees and gently bring them in together. Give yourself another big hug. And then start to grab the backs of the thighs again, and we'll slowly lower down to lay on our backs. So if you want extra core work here, you can release the hands from the thighs and give yourself that challenge, or you can just kind of flop down or roll down. And when you arrive, you can step your feet as wide as your mat with your knees pointing up, and then just start to windshield wiper your knees back and forth. So let the knees fall off to the right, bring them back to center, let them fall to the left. And you can move, I encourage you to move slower than you might want to move at first, just so you can really feel yourself massaging your glutes and releasing your lower back. And just paying attention to what is making contact with the mat. As it makes contact with the mat, really just feeling the fuller, or the more that you release the weight of your body to the mat, then the deeper the massage will be. And you can continue with this for longer if you'd like, or you can bring your knees in toward the chest and do the exact same thing, just focusing more on massaging your lower back. And just allowing the full weight of your back body to be against the mat. And the shift is just massaging you out a little bit more. Maybe taking circles with the knees, going in both directions. Great. And then just allow both of your knees to fall over to the right. And maybe they're stacked on top of each other like this. Maybe you're crossing your left leg over your right. Maybe your bottom leg, your right leg is extended and straight. There's a lot of different versions of a reclined twist we can take. So just find whatever works best for you today. And then you can extend your left arm and gaze over your left fingertips. And just feel that your left shoulder is staying close to the ground as possible. Feel the space between your left shoulder and the outside edge of the left knee. And just feel this wringing out of your spine that you're doing, this massaging of the organs. And then gently you can bring your head back to center, bring your knees back to center, and take that over to the other side. So extending the right arm, gazing over the right fingertips, and feeling the space between the right shoulder rooted down and the outside of the right knee. And just relaxing everything as you do this. Relax the face, relax both shoulders, relax the inner thighs and the outer thighs. Great. And then gently bring your head back to center, bring your knees back to center. And lastly, let's reach the legs up toward the ceiling. And you can shake them out when you arrive, and then just to encourage all the muscles to be relaxed in your legs. You don't have to be straight, they're just kind of hanging out. Fully releasing the muscles in your feet, fully release the muscles in your legs. And just see your legs resting in the hip sockets, just resting into place. And then reach your arms up to do the same thing. Release all the muscles in the arms and the hands. And just feel the arms resting in the shoulder sockets. This is called dead bug pose. You can feel the four corners of your torso being pinned against the mat just by the weight of your own limbs and gravity. And kind of imagining that your whole body was full of sand, and that all the sand in your body is naturally resting toward the back of your torso, just grounding you down even deeper. And feeling all the organs in your body resting into their rightful places. Feeling all the blood rushing away from the hands and feet, so maybe growing a little bit tingly, maybe a little warm. Just giving them a break for another few breaths. And then from here, you can start to bend your knees and bring them toward your armpits. And then you can reach for whatever's available. You can grab the big toes with your peace fingers. You can grab the outside edges of your feet. You can grab just the outsides of the thighs. And we're just coming into our happy baby. So your knees are coming down toward the armpits. The soles of the feet open up toward the ceiling. And you can stay in stillness. You can take turns straightening out each leg. You can rock from side to side. Just channeling your own inner happy baby and doing what you want to do. And then Whenever you are ready, you can bring the soles of your feet to find each other, and then just slowly walk your hands to your thighs and lower the outside edges of your feet to the mat, and your knees falling up to the side. So we're in the reclined version of the butterfly pose we just did. And you can let your arms release out to the sides with your palms facing up. You can let your hands rest on your belly or on your heart or any place else they want to go. And if this pose feels really good for you, you're welcome to stay here as long as you like. You could stay here for the remainder of the class, or if you're ready for your final Shavasana, your final resting pose, you can extend your legs one at a time and just open yourself up to this restful position. With the arms, with the palms facing up and away from the body, the shoulder blades rolling back, feeling your heart stay proud. The toes naturally falling where they want to fall. Just seeing the full shape of your body, feeling this 5-pointed star that your body is in. With your 4 limbs and your head all extending off of your torso. And seeing all that sand within your body, or water, whatever feels better to visualize, and just watching as it naturally rests toward the back body. This is the most important pose of yoga, of the practice. This is the pose where anything that was built up within you that no longer serves you will naturally release away from the body, will naturally die in our corpse pose. And all of the healing benefits of the poses that we practice today and the breathing that you've done is all solidified within your body. It's allowed to soak into your skin, soak into your muscles, your bones, and your cells even. So that your body is now resonating with this practice. Your body is connected to this pure presence and patience and understanding and love. As you feel your forehead expanding and turning your inner gaze to peer into the forehead once again. Just noticing what you see in your own mind screen. And tuning into the rhythm of your own heartbeat. And just become aware that your heart is beating throughout your entire body. Your heart is beating in the crown of your head. It's beating in your toes and the soles of your feet. Your heart is beating in the palms of your hands and your fingers and all the spaces in between. Yes, resting in this awareness of the miracle that your body is and how truly special and magical your body is, that it keeps you alive every moment of the day. And just rest for a few more moments in this total body awareness. If you would like to stay longer, please feel free to do so. You can just shut your computer and just allow yourself to rest in this state for as long as you need to. If you'd like to be guided out of this practice, you can just allow my cues to do that for you. So first, just noticing how slow your breath has become. And then letting that naturally deepen the breath and begin to call air into your body, call in life force energy. And feel yourself filling up with more ease from the toes to the fingers to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, letting it all go, maybe the fingers start to wiggle, maybe the toes start to wiggle, maybe the head rocks side to side. And you can take a nice big morning stretch, reaching the arms up overhead and getting the length from your toes to the fingers as long as possible. And as you exhale, you can come into a little ball and roll onto one side into a fetal position, resting your head on your upper arm. And just taking a moment to pause in this primal position, honoring this pose, the first pose all of us took in our lives. And then gently, when you're ready, leaving the eyes closed for a few more moments, you can push yourself up to your seat. And we'll meet with our hands at heart center when you arrive. It's tuning back in with the pulsing of your palms and your heart. And as you inhale, feeling the crown of your head lift higher. And as you exhale, gently bowing your head. And bowing to your maker, whoever it is that created you and has allowed you to be here and breathe and feel and see and hear, etc. Thanking all your spirits, angels, guides who are watching, loving you from afar. And thanking everyone in this space for showing up. And most importantly, thanking yourself for showing up, for being open and receiving. And may this practice continue to heal you and bring love into everything that you do and create, and to everyone who you see and sees you. Namaste.